Okay, all right. Welcome, everyone. And let me get this show on the road. This is Dr. Ortiz. How's everybody doing? This is the lighter side with a very heavy topic, which is metabolic syndrome, metabolic disease, all this bad stuff I'm telling you about. But it's also good news because all the people I know that have come to OCC don't have it anymore. And all the people that haven't come, 9 out of 10 people actually do. So there's some treasure in knowledge. So, anyways, this is a really quick segment. It's usually 20 minutes. Well, we try to keep it to that time. And we have several things that we do in this little segment. One is questions and answers that people post online. So go ahead and post your questions. We're live, obviously. We're pumping it out through Facebook Live, YouTube. But then you can actually replay it at your heart's content. Also talk a little bit about the latest news of the week. And last but not least, we always have an interview with a guest. Anyways, before we start, I just wanted to say that probably the most important thing is go ahead and like us, follow us, you know the drill, on social media so you can have the ability to see every episode that we have. We're slowly growing. We have mostly our patients viewing, but there's a lot of really cool information that we're trying to explain during these events. So go ahead and last but not least, if you're our patients, please don't forget to review us. We're always in dire needs of reviews. So let's start off with, let me see if I'm going to, all right, this is my promo video. All right, let's do that again because that video was crazy hard. And now, the topic today is life after bariatric surgery. And let's get into the nitty-gritty of our show because I have an invited guest, and today's guest is actually somebody who's lost a couple of pounds. But I'm going to let her explain. Taylor Shipley, from the Shipley family, one of my favorite families. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So I hear you've lost a couple of pounds.
Yeah, just a couple. I've lost 115 pounds, which is amazing. I
Well,
never thought was possible.
damn, we're in the amazing business, and you look amazing.
Oh, thank you. I feel like a different person. It's great.
Wow, 115 pounds. And what is your weight loss goal, by the way?
My weight loss goal is I'm aiming for about 20 more. I want to get to about 170. So I'm just continuing to work hard and continuing to work out, but it is amazing how much I feel like I can accomplish now that I've lost 115 pounds. It doesn't feel like I'm aiming for something that's absolutely impossible anymore.
So let's break it down because 115 pounds is almost a whole person.
Mhm.
How long ago did you have the surgery?
I had the surgery a year and a half ago. So
Uh,
September 2019.
who were you with here? When
Um,
anybody
with
else from your family?
Yeah, my little brother and I got it done on the same day, and then my parents were our companions. So Steven is down, I think, 220 pounds, and he
That's
is
crazy.
living his absolute best life. Yeah, we look like a different family. It's insane.
Yeah, but I did tell him it should be his best life under medical supervision, and he hasn't invited me yet. So he has that going against him. Now, look, as everybody knows that's listening, I am a weight loss surgeon. We've been doing this for 25 years. And my main goal is to get to know the person that we then, through medical technology, medical science, are going to try to change their lives. So I got to know you really well, and your mom, and it was like awesome, your dad. But you didn't have the best of experiences early on. So we're all about transparency, and I want people to know that I have limitations. My limitations is that if I don't get prepare my patient for surgery, then I'm not going to have the best outcome. So that's why I prepare all my patients. Having said that, we still are working on human tissue, and certain things react differently on certain patients. You didn't have the best of reactions. You want to share that with us?
Yeah, of course. Before I share anything, I'll say even with the reactions, because when I talk about it, it sounds, I mean, it wasn't fun. But even after coming through all of it, I would do it again in an absolute heartbeat. But basically what happened was after surgery, my body just wasn't reacting. And because I was having such a hard time keeping things down, I fell behind on my vitamins, is essentially what happened. And the vitamin deficiency just got worse and worse. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to come straight back down to you guys, where I think I probably could have gotten the help that I needed a lot faster. But doctors here were a little bit more reluctant to help on the bariatric side because I had done things a little unconventionally, and they thought they were seeing some symptoms that weren't right. So essentially
Tell it like it is, because here's one thing that I want to tell everybody who's undergone weight loss surgery and are part of our social media groups. And then once in a while, we're going to get a crazy post from somebody that says, "Oh, did somebody explode your liver?" Or "Is somebody now blind because of what they've done?" It's like, yeah, chill. And everybody needs to hear this story out, because a cascade of events happened to you.
Mhm.
So you were basically ignored by the medical community, or you were actually kind of uh, 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 singled out as somebody who went to Mexico for surgery. Now you have to pay the consequences. And did you feel that?
Oh, 100%. I think from the beginning, because it happened, like you said, it was a cascade of events. It didn't come on right away. So I started feeling nauseous just at the beginning. And I reached out to you guys, and you were super helpful and helped me with some tips on coconut water and how to get my nutrients in. But the nausea just wasn't going away. So I went to my doctor, at which point they basically told me if I wanted to talk to anyone bariatric, I needed to undergo a seminar that was in a few months. But in the meantime, just chew on some ginger and I should be fine.
Wow.
And that did not help. I just kept getting nauseous. And I ended up to the point where I was throwing up 6 or 7 times a day. And when they admitted me, they just would not listen to the fact that I had bariatric surgery, and they wouldn't check my vitamin levels. So they ended up thinking it was gastroparesis, which every time I called you guys, you were like, I really don't think that's it. You guys were
Yeah.
just so helpful on the phone, but they weren't really working with you guys, which was really frustrating. And then they released me from the hospital after being there for about a week, and basically said, you're going to be back. We just don't have the nutrients here to help you anymore. We don't have food that you can eat after a bariatric diet, which shocked me because I was at a hospital. But so they let me go. And sure enough, I got worse. I ended up throwing up probably 20 times a day, and my vision went completely blurred. And it was really hard. I was really scared for a long time. And they jumped straight to, well, it might be MS, it might be a brain tumor. Like, they jumped to these things that just weren't making any sense. So finally we came back down to you guys, and I was so sick. I remember someone had to help me up the stairs at the clinic.
Yeah.
And within 4 hours, my vision was back. Within 4 hours of being back at your guys' facility, because you guys just looked at their tests and found these vitamin deficiencies that they had missed. And I was feeling better. And then you guys took it a step further and helped me diagnose these gallstones that I had and gave me options from there. And I came back here and got the surgery to get those removed. But it was about 3 months of really fighting with, just to be blunt, the American medical system, and trying to get them just to listen to me. And in doing so, they actually did a ton of tests. I had CAT scans and CAT scans with dyes. They did an endoscopy. And in every test, they came back and they were like, your surgery was done great. Like, this is not a problem with the surgery you just had. We just don't know what's going on with your system. So it's like they wanted to blame it on something that they couldn't. They couldn't find what they wanted to blame it on. Yeah. And so I finally got better probably 4 months later. And after that, I've felt better since like the initial process of coming to you guys and getting the gallstones out and getting my vitamins up. I've been less sick this last year than I've been the rest of my life. Like, I've been so healthy. I don't get sick anymore. I'm exercising constantly. I feel so much better. It's insane. But it was a hard few months there at first. And I think what I laugh about now is I look back and at some point, someone either up, I think it had to have been someone up here was like, yeah, about one person a year reacts the way you react to this surgery. And that's when I looked at my dad and my mom and I was like, well, you guys should get it done now because I've already taken the bullet this season. So.
That's so nice of you. And that's true. I mean, this is not the first time we see this. And it's a cascade of events. One of the important things is that being overweight is a state of malnourishment. Why? Because we eat the wrong stuff. Now, if you add to that, even though we try to prep you ideally with all the new technology, the designer nutrition that we have with this new product line that's spectacular that comes out from a pharmaceutical grade company, which is what is it? Man, I should memorize these names. What is My Progress MD? It's called. Anyways, so we prep patients because we want to not only affect that state of malnourishment, we want to preemptively avoid any further loss because surgery is not a nourishing procedure, it's a malnourishing procedure, whichever one you do. So you were in that situation, but lo and behold, you get nausea. Nausea is a symptom of many things, from pregnancy to knock on wood, right? To other stuff like gallstones. And of course, it can be related to the weight loss surgery itself. So the first thing we try to do is rule out the weight loss surgery, and that's what we did with you via telephone. I believe that I'm going to concentrate a little bit on this because here's the thing. People decide on going outside the country for weight loss surgery. And why do they do it? Well, because either the cost of care, the timeliness of care, and sometimes the quality of care, which means that some people trust us over certain other centers because of our track record and our 25-year experience. Some people simply because they can get it done quicker than in the United States and Canada and elsewhere. And sometimes it really is because it's a third of the price that it costs in the US. Doesn't mean we're cheap. It means that we have a lower overhead and we pass on that cost to the patient and the patient. So basically I'm providing a service. Having said that, if you trust us for surgery, why not trust us for your follow-up? The problem is, and this is a big problem, people go back to their physician who's not a specialist, who's not a bariatric surgeon, who doesn't know about our quality of care. At this point, all of the US, most of the recognized weight loss surgeons in the US know about us, and many of them are friends, we're colleagues, we interact. Many people end up going to a hospital and the first thing they're going to get is this negative message. Oh, you went to Mexico for surgery. Well, that's what you get for going to Mexico. And then instead of helping you, they try to punish you. And that's happened many times. So I get stuff like a couple of weeks ago, somebody, well, my spleen exploded. It's like, no, your spleen did not explode. All right, I was in there. I've done this just 24,000 times. It's like me poking my eye out because I was eating. Oh, I poked my eye out with a fork. And what was happened is that when we do weight loss surgery, we divide some vessels that are in the spleen to the stomach so we can actually perform the procedure and make your stomach smaller. But when we divide those vessels, sometimes the vascularization or the blood flow of the spleen, which is an organ that's upper left-hand quadrant of your body, the blood flow changes. And they pick that up on a CAT scan. So if somebody says, goes to their hospital ER and they said I had weight loss surgery and I'm having hiccups or I'm having pain or I'm having coughing or I'm having, first thing they do is a CAT scan. It's like, oh, look at this. They tore your spleen out. It's like, really? No. It's a finding that we see every fourth patient. 1 out of 4 patients. But the problem is that these people want to punish you for being hopeful and trying to get a procedure where you couldn't get it in the States or in Canada. You come and get it down here, and now you're you're being victimized. You're being a victim of bullying by the medical community. Doesn't happen once you get to that level where you're being taken care by a weight loss surgeon. So, anyways, I wanted to put that out because that's extremely important. But I mean, you got better in hours. I came back and
Yeah.
you could actually see me. It's like, oh, doc, what happened to you? It's like, you've grown old. It's like, oh, you're not blur. Your vision is not blurry anymore. So, anyways, that happened.
Yeah.
You went back home. You started thriving. You lost a
Mhm.
ton of weight, 115 pounds. How has that
Yes.
changed your life?
It's changed everything about my life. I think the main thing is I had gotten to this point of being so depressed and feeling just so stagnant and thinking there was no way I'd ever be able to lose the weight. And I think as I started to see it coming off, my self-confidence really started coming back. And I realized for the first time what people feel like when you're big, everyone always tells you, like, it's not about being skinny, it's about being healthy. And when you're big, you're like, okay, but I want to be skinny. Like,
Mm.
there's like, you have to temper that a bit. But as I started losing the weight, I realized it really is about being healthy. And I look amazing and I'm like more confident in myself than ever. But our whole family is healthier now, which I think is great. And I've been to the doctor way less now because I'm just not sick as much anymore. And I'm realizing that I wasn't getting the nutrients and my body was just mentally and physically fighting with everything it had to keep me going. And so I feel like I've gotten just a second chance at life, and my social life has changed, and my health and my spiritual, everything's just gotten better.
You know what? Something that's happened is that everybody is online is going crazy saying uh, lots of comments on how Taylor looks great, and I have to agree because, in fact,
Thank you.
let me do this. I'm gonna do this. Let me see if I can do this and then this. Uh-huh. No, not that one. This is the good one.
Oh,
That's the one I wanted to put. Come on. Here. That's the intro. Nope, that's not it either. There you go. There you
there.
go. That's a nice before and after, I have to
Oh
say.
my gosh. Yeah.
And well, I'm getting. I actually am getting several questions. One of them is somebody worried about liquid vitamins or just taking vitamins. So here's the thing. What could she have done to prevent this? Well, the most important thing is trust your doctors. Call us up and get back here if you need to, because we typically have the answer. Like I said, after doing 24,000 surgeries, we've pretty much seen everything. So for Linda, get on the horn, immediately contact Lucia, our chief nutritionist, and she'll get you squared away. Um, and there's another somebody that might be known to you, Mindy, or in other words, Mama.
Hi,
OCC
Mom.
saved. Hi, Mom. OCC saved my little girl. Put complete trust in these extremely handsome doctors. Well, she didn't say that. I added that, but okay. So, so, so,
It's
so you were saying. Sorry, I
honestly,
interrupted.
no, it's so true. And I think going back to that, putting complete trust in you guys, I remember one time specifically where I was really low and I was at the emergency room and they just were not taking me seriously. And so finally, I just decided as they were giving me my blood results, I was just forwarding them straight to you guys because I was like, I know they're not paying attention. And I think 2 days later, I was back in Mexico with you guys going, and you guys had all of what's crazy is you had all of their information and you knew exactly what to do and how to go from there. But it did get to the point where I just started going just to get blood tests so I can send them to you guys because I knew you guys is where I was going to get the help. And it's like you said, I hate to say it this way. I really do. I wish I could give the benefit of the doubt a bit more, but it was like, well, look, you took the risk. It's on you. And the truth is, I now feel 100% more confident going to you guys than I do anytime I feel something coming on or I feel a little bit nervous about something. I immediately go, okay, I just need to email them because they're the ones that are going to help me. They know what they're doing. Like you said, you've done 24,000 or so. You know what you're doing.
Your dad says, I'm not even going to, it's like, I was going to try to trick you on this one as well. Your dad says, OCC fixed the problem in 4 hours that American doctors couldn't figure out in 3 months. OCC is amazing. Yep, I agree with you, Bob. But anyways,
so true.
It really is about when you take the decision, you really didn't go out of the country just because it's a price thing. But I'm going to ask you, why did you end up with us? But the thing is that if you did decide, you actually have to trust the group that don't second guess yourself. And if you're second guessing yourself, you might be at the wrong place. Because what I do is I try to be as transparent as possible, and I give you all the information you may ever need. And that should be the perfect equation to say, all right, this is the right fit for me or not. How did you end up with us?
Yeah, we actually ended up, it's so funny you say that because while price and time did have a factor, we did choose you guys because we did the research and you guys were the most qualified. I think, and beyond that, you guys offered these services and this help that I would not get. I looked up into it up here in California, and surprisingly at 315 pounds, I was told I would have to get a higher BMI to qualify for it, which I was like, you want me to gain weight? Like you're asking me to harm myself more. And with you guys, when I called just to get information, from the start, I had a nutritionist going, okay, let's see what we can do to get you healthier so you're at your healthiest when surgery comes. And that's the moment that I knew and my parents knew that you guys were in it more genuinely just to help us. And I decided at that point, I didn't trust a system that was asking me to get more sick just so they could fix me. And you guys were saying, no, like, let's prove that you can be healthy before we go into this. And we had contact with Lucia from the very beginning. We had, right after the initial phone call, the nutrition stuff emailed to us. And it felt like, instead of get sicker so we can fix you, it felt like, okay, you've shown interest, now we're going to start right now. And it was encouraging from the start. And then doing our research on your facility and your accreditations, I kind of brought up Mexico, and my mom and I started doing research, and she found you guys, and then I kind of looked more into it, and we couldn't find anything that would make us go, no, we still think we should get it done up here. It just was proof that you guys really did have the qualifications, and it was the best choice health-wise for us. So yeah, from beginning to end, you guys proved you wanted more to help us and not just get us through the insurance system, I think is kind of what it comes down to. And I felt seen by you guys. There was a time where I was in the hospital where one of the doctors, I wish I remembered which doctor, but was just like in the grocery store and called my mom and just was like, hey, I just want to check on her. How is she doing? What can we do to help? And that's a care that you don't see many places. And I do. Now, every time I talk about my weight loss, some people, when they lose the weight, they choose not to really talk about the weight loss surgery, which is fine. Everybody does it their own way. I think it's great however you choose to. I chose from the beginning to be really honest and open about what I was going through. And the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, okay, anyone who's willing to listen, let me tell you about Dr. Ortiz and OCC and why this should be the place for you. So it's been a really cool thing, but I think from the minute we started researching you guys, it's been no question in my head that you guys were the best.
Have you had any naysayers, people that say, well, you took the easy way out having surgery, or have you had like the complete positive saying, you go girl, and this is incredible and it's changed your life?
I've had a little bit of both. I think for me it was different where the naysayers shut up real fast when I got sick. Because it was like, you can't possibly tell me um, this is easy. But there was one point. So for people who haven't been through it, as you know, when you're preparing for it, there's a pretty rigorous diet leading up to getting the surgery. You have to really cleanse your system. And there was one day where I was just starting the liquid diet. So I was a little grumpy. And I had a conversation with someone who was talking to me about my job and was like, well, are you going to cut corners and work like you're doing with your health? And I had to leave the room because I was already pretty angry and grumpy and hungry. And this
Pissed.
person saying that, and I came back and I like composed myself and I was like, you don't understand. I've been fighting against my body for years. This is not the easy way out. This is a tool that's helping me get on track. Um, so I had a couple people, but for the most part, I think people, and I prefaced it by saying like, please be positive about this because this is a change I need to make. So I think the people that were skeptical kind of shut up at first, and then now afterwards, everyone's supportive. After they've seen how it's worked out, every person that I've talked to has been like, wow, you've really changed. I think one of the things that's the hardest to hear is like, people will say, well, no offense, which you always know is not going to be something good. They'll be like, well, no offense. But you must have really let yourself get out of control if you needed this. Like, you must have really let yourself go. And what people don't understand is there's such a mental side to it. And food addiction is so big. I think Stephen describes it as so well when he says food addiction is the most commonly accepted addiction, where if you go out with an alcoholic, you're not going to be okay if they order a drink. But if there's a food addict and they order a big meal, no one's going to say anything. And food addiction got a hold of me, and I know that, and it messed with every part of my being. And so I wouldn't say I let myself go. I'd say I just needed to get my life back. And there were a lot of factors that played into how I got sick. And that's what I view it as, that I was sick and I needed help. And this was a tool to help me. So I had a few people that were naysayers. But for the most part, afterwards, people have just been really supportive. I was really worried about dating again, to be completely honest. I was worried about having to explain kind of my journey to someone I was dating, and I was really scared. And I am now in a really serious relationship, and he is the most supportive person, and he loves that I talk so openly about this, and he knows that it's been a big thing for me. So all my fears have been things that I really didn't need to worry about.
Well, I gotta say, you look incredible. So does the rest of your family. I mean,
Oh,
this is a family endeavor for you guys because suddenly you, holy, what am I doing? What, you guys were the guinea pigs, your brother and you, and then suddenly your mom and dad is like, okay, it's safe, we'll do it. Uh, but
exactly.
by but by that time, it's like you guys had lost so much weight.
Mhm.
Now, you still working at church?
I am not working. I was a youth pastor.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I got sick, I had to give that job up, but I am looking forward to getting back into that kind of work,
Nice.
volunteering.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because you can't get pissed and tell somebody off right at church. So I'm glad
No.
it didn't happen at church. So I'm glad you talked about this aspect of addiction because it really is not just an addiction, a psychological addiction, or it's a physical addiction.
Mhm.
People that become addicted to certain stimulants are physically addicted, and it's basically impossible basically impossible unless you go through these very incredible processes to stop that addiction. And food is the most common addiction. Now, one of the things that mostly happens, and this is extremely important for everybody listening to understand, and go ahead and like this video and then send it to your friends, because two things. Number one, even if you're not overweight, 30% of the people that have normal weight still have metabolic disease. Metabolic disease meaning high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high triglycerides, high cholesterol, high insulin. This is a disease that is rampant around the world. So in fact, those people that are normal weight, I'll actually do surgery on them, because it's not weight loss surgery anymore, it's metabolic surgery. And this is going to resolve all of that. And of course, 80% of the people that are overweight or obese also have this syndrome. And why is it important? And I'm not going to rest until everybody gets it in their head that this is what leads to 60 to 70% of the deaths globally. Heart attacks, strokes, Alzheimer's, dementia, and cancer. These are the things that are killing the world. And they all start with what you had. You had high insulin, and suddenly your high insulin makes you insulin resistant, and then you started trapping your body fat in your body. And then, because it's trapped, because of that high insulin, what happens? Your body is starving. Because that fat is trapped. You can't liberate it, you can't use it, burn it for energy. So what do? Your body says, well, we have to eat more and more and more, and your insulin is higher and it traps it more. And that's how we get overweight, we get obese, and then that same insulin starts stimulating other areas like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, stuff like that. You didn't have all these things, did you?
No, from what I know, I didn't. I think I ended up, what I think I had gallstone problems for a long time, but people just looked at my weight and thought that's what was causing stomach issues, personally.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, even if you don't have the clinical version of it, which means that they take your blood pressure and it's high, or they take your blood sugar, it's high, anybody who's overweight, most of the times, 80% of the times, is going to have a start, or is going to be affected in those parameters, but slowly but surely, because it's chronic and progressive, down the years, 20 years later, 30 years later, you're already sick. And the problem, the biggest problem, I got to tell everyone, is that modern healthcare is a disease management system. It's not really healthcare. Healthcare is what we're doing with you right now. We are caring for your health. You're healthy and beautiful and thriving. If it was your brother, I'd say healthy and thriving. Not so beautiful. I gotta give him a hard time. The chef, right?
Naturally.
Yeah, he's the chef. So if you're in this healthcare system, it really is a disease management system, because if you get high blood sugar or high blood pressure, you're done. They're going to give you medications for the rest of your life. So they're going to control this disease, or they're going to manage it, but they're never going to cure it. With surgery, it gets cured in a matter of 3 weeks. It reverts in a matter of 3 weeks. So we're going to run out of time, but before we do, this has dramatically changed how you look, obviously how you feel.
Yes.
You've inspired other people, because I know you've inspired other people. What do you tell them? What do you tell somebody that, even you, I mean, you're the picture perfect case where it didn't go perfectly well. Mm-hmm. And look at you, you're still excited about it, and
Yeah.
even emotional. What do you tell people? What do you tell people that have the same problem you had?
I tell them, honestly, look into it as soon as possible. And you have to set your worldly pride to the side, because people are going to make comments, but you need to take care of yourself. And I'd say call them right away. I think I have said to people, like, here's the phone number, call. I would do it again in a second. It has given me a second chance at life, 100%. And I would want that for anybody. Like you said, I'm not going to stop until people know this about metabolic syndromes. Like, I want people who felt how I feel to know that that's not how you have to live. there's a better way. So,
Well, all your family is like incredible because you've got uh, your brother who's a young dude lost over
mhm,
200 pounds. First thing that you hear over there is like, oh no, you need a very aggressive surgery. He said, I don't want an aggressive surgery. I'll give you the basic. I just touched up your stomach a little. I didn't even do a lot of surgery. I just made it a little bit
mhm,
smaller, right? So I did the same thing with him, and he lost over 200 pounds. So,
yeah,
and dramatically changed his life. He's a cool cat. Uh, you had basically a very similar procedure, and look at all the weight you've lost, and you're still
mhm,
losing weight. You're probably going to end up losing 130 pounds easily.
yes.
But you guys, a certain crowd is going to appeal to your ages. But then we
Mhm,
did your mom and dad. Now, your mom, she was a non-believer. She's like, I don't really need this. I don't want this. It's like, why would I want this? It's like, why would I put myself at risk? She's a whole complete incredible story because now she's
mhm.
like flaunting it and just showing it off. And
She really is.
and then your dad is like finally like a good old dad. He's like, all right, the family's taken care of. Everybody's taken care of. I love everybody. Everybody's great. They're on their way. Now I'm going to take care of myself. That's what your dad did. So
A
he
hundred
did.
percent.
Yeah, and lo and behold, guys lose a lot of weight much faster than girls, and he's doing
Mhm,
incredible. So you guys are represent the the thick of the population represented by different ages, by different roles in a family. And all of you lost a ton of weight. Maybe we should add it up and see how much the whole family has lost in
right.
weight, right? And you guys are believers and have a lot of faith. And I'm so glad you made it down here because it seems that your dad and mom said, "All right, enough is enough," and they actually dragged you down here.
Pretty much. They wanted to keep me going. So,
So we're happy for all those changes. I'm happy for your family being involved with the OCC family because, again, the most important thing is having this time to share the experience, just completely transparent as you did, because I want people to know the expectations, the true expectations, and then to decide. Ultimately, it's a big step, but it's a step for the better. It dramatically changes not only your psychological and your physical, but your metabolic, your health
mhm.
profile. So I'm so glad you were with us, Taylor, today.
Thank you.
We're going to check in a couple of months as well. Probably going to check in with your family as well. And for
Perfect.
those listening in, thank you. A lot of nice texts, a lot of comments. There's one great comment that I should even put as a. I just had surgery on the 12th. I'm home, feel great. I have friends that had the procedure in the U.S. with a lot of complications. I researched OCC credentials and was impressed. My own insurance would not help me, even though doctors said that I had PCOS. OCC just doesn't take your money like in the U.S., in my opinion. They want to help cure obesity and its problems. That's going to be my new spokesperson. Yeah, that's what we do. We love what we do. We've been blessed to do what we do, and we're changing lives one patient at a time. And we're always available, as you know. You can call us, you can email us. So, everybody watching, post your questions. We'll feature them on the next program, on the next segment.